Thank you very much for joining us today. I know that you're here to talk about Black Adam. That's coming out very soon. Good luck with that movie.
Thank you.
But you're also here to talk about the release of your energy drink, ZOA, into the Canadian market. Really fascinated by the fact that you're in the energy drink market, and just kind of wanted to start with an idea of how did you get into the energy drink market?
Great question, David. Great way to kick off this interview. So how it started was I have myself and our founding partners who I've known for 20 and 30 years. We would continue to try to refine our pre-workouts before we would work out. So we would try a variety of companies over the years, mix a little bit of this powder, add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that, and finally we got to a point where we said to each other, you know, why don't we get in the business? And let's start with us first, and let's see if we can create some great formulations that we trust. Because a lot of formulations that were coming down the pike at the market were more and more challenging to trust, because you don't always have to disclose, especially when you start to veer off into the supplement company as well, in the supplement market. So we decided to create our own, and we decided to call it ZOA, and here we are.
And you know, why did you actually think that this would actually be a potentially successful business venture? Because you don't necessarily see a lot of energy drinks, new energy drinks hit the market. There's a lot of established players, Red Bull, Monster, which is owned by Coca-Cola.
That's right.
And now you know, you're trying to penetrate that and elbow your way in. So why did it really make sense from your perspective to invest so much time and effort and money to this new product?
Well, it felt like there was a nice white space here where we could come in, we could steal a little bit of market share, but not only that, and at times, more importantly than that, is we can create and deliver a product I felt like people could be confident in drinking, because a lot of times, and I'm not knocking those guys, they're big players for a reason. And we have all tried those drinks. But a lot of times, what we have found in looking at the market and doing a lot of research on the competitors is a lot of times their idea of innovation is just to add more caffeine, and we didn't want that. So we didn't. So in our formulation, we actually added caffeine last. So we did think that there was a white space where we could create an energy drink, be transparent with the formulation, make sure that we were bringing in the best of the best in terms of our formulators. They're all Procter & Gamble teams who create this. So we thought we got a shot with this. We created a formula that could be trusted, transparent, and we went for it.
We've seen a lot of other celebrity-backed beverages find a lot of success in the market. I'll speak to George Clooney's tequila company that sold for $1 billion, or around $1 billion. Ryan Reynolds' aviation gin sold to Diageo for $600+ million. Are these kind of deals a similar pathway that you'd like to see something like ZOA eventually exit to, as well as Tenamara, the tequila brand that you're back to as well?
Sure. I mean, that would be the goal one day. Well, actually, let me back up. Let me answer that properly. With Teremana as well as with ZOA, these are legacy brands, and we're in it for the long haul. Now, we may look at something similar to the guys who you just talked about, and Clooney and Ryan, possibly with ZOA. And I got to tell you, you know, we're doing pretty good. We did pretty good in our first year. We wound up, right now, as we talk, we are the fastest growing energy drink in the U.S. market. We're crossing over $100 million. And, you know, the extrapolation of that, and I'm not too good with math, but you're much better, and your viewers are much better, so you know where that's going to. So I think we'll see. I think the main thing that we could do right now is to continue to improve the formulation, continue to grow out the brand, continue to expand, for example, like here in Canada, and continue to deliver.
Do you take 5, 10-year, 15-year views on these business ventures in terms of where you'd like them to reach before you commit more energy and time to investing yourself into them?
Well, I believe the energy and time and the investment happens now, and I think it happens 24/7. I mean, you got to live and you got to breathe the brand. But we do look down the road, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I think you have to, because it takes a lot of time to get brands like this up on their feet, as you know. I will tell you that one of our goals, like with Teremana, is not only to continue to grow internationally, but like with any brand, especially I feel if it is. Teremana started off as a celebrity brand. The goal was eventually for it to find its way out into the world and not have me so attached to it. The same thing with ZOA. So in the spirit of time, 5, 10, 15 years, ideally ZOA is living on its own, and I don't necessarily have to be the one who's so forward-facing with all the consumers every single day.
I want to take an opportunity to maybe take a step back and maybe pull back the curtain on your entire business venture and your I mean, you're a successful actor in one regard, but you also have these other ventures that you're working with. Can you explain, how do you find the time to manage everything while being on set, while also trying to, work on marketing for ZOA, work on a new plan for Tenamara, you have XFL, you've got Under Armour. So how many people do you employ in all these? How many, you're at the heart of this business empire. Can you shed a bit of light on what this empire looks like?
I can. So between all the businesses across the portfolio, we have Terramana, we have ZOA, we do have Project Rocks, our partnership with Under Armour. We have the XFL. We have a few others that we're cooking up. We have probably over 300 employees across the board, which is a nice sizable amount. We continue to grow. I think for me, David, the key has been really surrounding myself with talented people who are much smarter and much better at what they do than I am. I'm pretty good at coming in. If a lot of the work is done, all the operational work and all the other work that has to get done to put a brand up on its feet and get it out there in the market, I'm pretty good at coming in and I'm pretty good at coming in and saying, no, yes, a little bit more, a little bit less. Mm-hmm. No, let's move. I'm pretty good there.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the XFL, and we talked about that before the camera started rolling. Yeah. Why do you think the third time is the charm for the launch of this new football league? And given your past ties here in Canada, mm-hmm. do you think that there's an opportunity to really partner with the CFL here or other sort of financially distressed teams here to include them in the XFL?
Sure. Great question. Two-parter. Let me jump in on the first part is I do believe we got a real chance here. The third iteration of the XFL, and I know it's tough. The first one, and we were around Vince McMahon. We were with Vince. We were babies back then. But myself and my business partner, Danny Garcia, we grew up with Vince. And we were with him in that first iteration of the XFL. The second iteration of the XFL was actually doing pretty good before we all got our butts kicked with COVID. Then we came in, we acquired it from Vince. I think we have a real shot here. We decided to take our time, not come out in 2021. We'll come out in 2022. We partnered with the NFL. We sat down with Roger Goodell, sat down with Troy Vincent, and all of their colleagues up at the league, and said, our goal here is just to grow the game of football. Can we partner? And the answer was yes. So between we have really staffed up. We have the best of the best in terms of the organization. I think we got a shot. I think spring football has a shot. Research has shown that fans are hungry for football all year round as long as it's quality. Mm-hmm. So we got a shot, and we're going to continue to work hard. And in terms of partnering, for example, like the XFL and the CFL, we were actually having some really deep conversations. We had done some deep dive conversations with the XFL, led by our good friend Larry Tannenbaum. And we were going down the pike, and we were looking for some sort of partnership. And we were all in alliance at that time for some sort of partnership between the XFL and the CFL in the spirit of growing the game, because we all love the game of football. And we got down the line, and eventually the conversation eventually those conversations started to stall. We all agreed respectfully, let's put the pencils down, wish each other the best of luck. And I love the CFL. I came out of the CFL. As a matter of fact, Wally Buono just sent me a video. It was good to see him. We always have this joke that I am I will always be Wally Buono's favorite player in my mind.
Got a minute left, so I just kind of want to wrap with some WWE stuff. I just checked the stock. It's hit an all-time high today. It's been a good day on the markets today, as we're currently speaking. And a lot of the drive up has been speculation that the company may be sold following the departure of Vince McMahon to a potential. This is according to analysts, of course. Do you think that the WWE itself could ever be sold to a company like NBC Universal or another major broadcaster?
Sure, I do. I've known Vince for a very, very long time, and he's a businessman, and they're business people. I think the key with selling the WWE or whatever that acquisition looks like, I think, and I've had a lot of long conversations with Nick Khan, who's co-CEO, who's a very good friend of mine, and I've known Nick since I was a kid in Hawaii. As a matter of fact, for your viewers, I have a show on NBC called Young Rock, and the creator of that show, Nahnatchka Khan, is Nick Khan's sister. So there's some really nice connective tissue here. I think the key with, if there were a sale with the WWE, is to make sure that whoever acquires that brand and that property, you've got to love the wrestling business. Of course, you can love the asset and you can love everything that it comes with it, but you gotta love the professional wrestling business. So I think that's the key, because it's so unique and it's so different, and you gotta have somebody who could come in and really love it. Because if not, then you could kind of see the writing on the walls 4 or 5 years down the road, what will happen.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking AEW is actually in town right now as well. And my last question to you, just on the WWE.
When are they in town? Tonight?
They're in town tonight. They were in town last night as well.
Well, what kind of business did they do? Do you know?
I think they did really well.
I'm sure they did.
I think they filled the venue.
Great. It's a good time in pro wrestling.
It's a good time, and it's a good time to be in business. And speaking of that, given your rising net worth and your successful business ventures, have you ever considered making a strategic investment into the WWE, or potentially even taking a board seat on the corporate side of things?
Nick and I have talked about that, and we always enjoy that over a bottle of Terramana, and usually we get down the whole bottle of Terramana together and we get to good conversations. I love the wrestling business. I grew up in it. My grandfather, my dad started here in Canada, where he was born. So I'm not quite too sure if a board seat is in my future, but possibly other things are in my future for sure. So we'll see. Again, the best person to buy that company would be a group who love the wrestling business.